Once again airing from the Performance Centre, the July 28th episode of NXT featured a new star and heated matches between rivals. Mars Bourne put his North American title on the line against the cocky Cam Hendricks. Cruz Montana was ready to speak for the first time as a member of the NXT roster. Charlotte Hill promised to bring the Frog against Tristan Angels and much more. But we started things off with a recap of last week's show, including the arrival of Cruz Montana, Mike Santana. Grayson Waller, though, interrupted Vic Joseph with a live mic in the ring. Waller talks about his career trajectory falling apart as he was held back by working with Theory and left behind his story with a New Day. He focused the intention to reset in the direction by taking the title he never won, the NXT title. Waller talked down about Montana and Tony D, then mocked the whole men's roster, calling them soft while the women's division runs laps around them. He refused to stop shooting after a strange old told him to wrap it up. His mic was cut off and Waller talked to the camera as it fed into the commercial. This is the most interesting thing NXT's done in months, maybe even longer than that. Wall Street promos are often overused. This felt appropriate for the moment. Waller finally got a live mic to speak about his peace of mind and come off as a bigger star than just about any other man in NXT right now. It's not surprising given he's always delivered on the mic, but Waller absolutely nailed this. It just went on a bit too long. WWE clearly's not seen this in Waller in a while. Hopefully a fresh start will allow him to get back on track and become a top star in NXT. If this spot is anything to go by, Waller might have just jumped to the top of the line to dethrone Tony D. Next up, it was Lizzie Rain versus Izzy Dane in the first match, and these are a strong physical offense from the outset. Izzy find her edge and sending Lizzie face first into the apron into the break. Lizzie began to rally from the break, hitting the machine gun chops to a welcoming crowd. Izzy managed to catch Lizzie flying with a Blue Thunder Bomb for the near fall. An air raid crash from Lizzie nearly took the win. Izzy responded to a running crucifix for another near fall. Strong cut her into a running headbutt, set out the Thunderstruck, but Nico Vance restricted Lizzie into a big boot. Sean Spears arrived to scare off Nico, and the distraction allowed Lizzie hit the Thunderstruck for the victory. After over a month of build, they collided in a good match, but it was not likely to be the show stealer they wanted. The problem was the pacing. Too often, Izzy took a methodical pace in a contest that needed more energy, and Lizzie was rarely in control to speed things up. The two need to find their chemistry more, and that led to an inconclusive finish, which will likely lead to another match. They will get the chance to go to the next level. The right woman certainly won, though, as Lizzie's better and less established in NXT right now, and they should rely on her more often, I would say. So I'll give it a 6 out of 10. We've then got the North American Championship, Mars Bourne versus Cam Hendricks. The champ overwhelmed Hendricks early with his athleticism until the challenger tripped Bourne back first on the apron as the match transitioned into a picture-in-picture. The power of Hendricks gave him a firm advantage, but the challenger spent too much time jaw-jacking, allowing Bourne to fire back with punches and clotheslines. The champ tried the Bourne again, but Hendricks got the hands on the ropes. NXT cut to a backstage where Rook decided to get closer to the action. Tavian Heights grabbed Rook and stopped him from interfering. Bourne survived a Showtime kick, slipped into a Bourne again for the win. Afterwards, Rook brawled with Hendricks to the back while Vanity Project struck. Despite the disadvantage, though, Bourne Heights cleared the ring standing tall. The match heavily relied on Hendricks' ability as a heel to carry the bulk of the action, and that was fine. However, Bourne's comeback was impressively smooth with kind of snap that is seen much more on the main roster. It's clear throughout these men are at different levels in their career. Hendricks has so much work to do before he can become a genuine NXT champion. Bourne was always going to get the win here, though the next week could be more unpredictable as NXT might be looking to make him a double champ alongside Heights. That'd be intriguing. 6 out of 10. You then got a big match between Birthright's Channing Stacks, Lorenzo and Uriah Connor versus OTM. Connor's tried to impose his will early with a large shot to Price, but only annoyed them. OTM double-teamed Connors and sent him retreating outside. Birthright found no answer to OTM into the Merrick, and especially after they tossed Connors onto the whole group outside. During the break, Birthright isolated Nima, and when Price was able to get the hot tag, he could not manage the overwhelming numbers of Birthright. Angel and Berto interrupted to get in the face of Birthright. Nima tried to ease tensions, but was distracted too long. Price took a combination of running knee and super kick for the Birthright win. The flow of the match was almost non-existent. It never felt like either side got into a good groove, and a commercial break was poorly timed. The standout of the match was Price, who looked like a monster at times in this contest. It's a shame that led to him losing. The sudden escalation with Nima's split loyalties between OTM and Los Pelos and does not feel like it really benefits anyone. OTM was on the rise and now is losing awkward interference and distractions. Birthright got the win, but it doesn't feel like they did much of anything in this match. The match especially showed the weakness of the current NXT roster. While the men's division has solid numbers, too many experienced stars like rookies in these spots. So I'm near at 5 out of 10. Charlotte Hill and Tristan Angels then showed their familiarity with one another early, exchanging strikes and explosive offense. Angels took the advantage of a net breaker on a 4 into the break, but Hill slowly fought back in with his reverse flipping senton, as well as catching Angels flying with a falling scoop slam. Angels fired back with a suplex for a near fall. Hill ducked Angels' attempt to stomp him into steel stance, bounced off the announce table with a powerbomb. After a final strong back and forth, Hill caught Angel with a speed for Thunderbreaker for the victory. Despite teaser the darker side of Hill during this match. He worked the contest in the same way as usual. However, he and Angels have the obvious chemistry and delivered a more memorable main event clash, especially for the NXT stage. It was noticeably better than their first clash and made both men look great. They sold their hatred for another while delivering consistent, varied offense. The result could have gone either way. But win for Hill should end this rivalry for good. Angel still needs to move on to opponents and can beat Hill, can finally start contending for the gold. I'll give it 7 out of 10. Cruz Montana then talked his journey up, admitting he was no saint. He wanted to become a great wrestler and a worthy father to his daughter. He confirmed he was officially a WWE superstar and set his sights on the main title. When he first called out Grayson Waller for his comments to start the show, it's Tony D who arrived. He put over the former star's accomplishment, but refused to give up his spot to Montana, who took offense, dropping the microphone, but Waller shot first, laying into both men and setting up Montana to accidentally hit Tony D. The show ended with an annoyed D'Angelo standing in the ring with a pacing Montana while Waller mocked them both from ringside. On a normal night, his speech would have been a major highlight of the show, but Waller spoiled his spotlight so much with a stronger promo to open the show. Even in the brawl at the end of the night, the Australian made the most of his seconds, showing his craftiness with eye pokes and misdirection. In what was supposed to be the moment that established NXT's new big name, Waller intensified his claim to be that man. There will be more opportunities for Montana in the future, but he's telling how many big names NXT has tried to establish recently and how many have really lasted. Montana has some work to do, but not just fall to the wayside, following Rook and Naraku into a likely mid-card spot. NXT this week gets a 6 out of 10 from me. NXT started one of the best moments in recent memory with Grayson Waller's return and his fantastic promo. What followed was a night of fine action that never disproved Waller's point, especially since the show heavily featured men over women. While nothing was outright bad, no one really stepped it up. NXT had more chances to showcase, but kind of roster is what it is. The women's division continues to make the most of his chances though, and Kendall Gray and Lona Vice are likely to dominate next week's action. The men will need to find a way to stop Waller making his own name at their expense, which is always possible. But yeah, this alone, I'm going to give it 6 out of 10.
That's it for this video. Thanks very much for watching. Remember to like, share, subscribe, follow us on our socials, link in the description below for daily wrestling news, meme and content. Subscribe to our other channels on screen right now, that'd be greatly appreciated. Thanks very much for watching. Peace out.